Other yarn companies are talking about this. Does this mean? Hello! Welcome back to the Spoonie Stitcher channel. I'm Shannon the Spoonie Stitcher, you're inside the Stitchery, and I'm so happy you're here today. If you're new, hi! I'm Shannon. I'm the Spoonie Stitcher. A Spoonie is somebody who has a chronic condition, and a Stitcher is somebody who makes art with textiles. This channel is all about creativity. Anything that makes your creative juices flowing, that's what we try to do on this channel. We've got baking, we've got cooking, we've got art, we've got crafting, we've got stuff with textiles, we've got animation, movie talk, all kinds of stuff on this channel. So if that sounds like something that sounds fun to you, maybe hit the subscribe button. Oh wait. Thank you so much. Maybe hit like button while you're down there as well. That tells the algorithm you want more stuff like this. Today, I don't know what we're gonna do, but stay tuned and we'll have fun together. I really want to talk about this, so I'm going to. I don't know if I turn it into a vlog or what, but I really want to have a conversation about this. So several years ago, Lion Brand made a yarn based on a TV show. A TV show where there's no crocheting or knitting happening. Why? I don't get it.
They did a whole brand deal with this. All the colors of the yarn were named after either places in the show or famous quotes from the show. And then they had different patterns that were Lion Brand exclusive, mostly knitting, again, from famous things from the show that people who are fans of the show would understand. It was a really big deal. But it wasn't advertised well, so the yarn went on sale and then discontinued really quickly.
I mean, I'm very happy that they had it, and yes, I bought some, but I bought some when it was $2. Yes, David wears those knitted sweaters. Maybe somebody's knit on screen once, but it's not prominent to the show. It's not like an integral part of the show. So why that show? When there are so many other good options, such as Elsbeth. Elsbeth is a show that is based on a character that was on The Good Wife, and she did so well that they gave her own spin-off, and she is a lawyer who has a consent decree, and she gets to work with the cops. It's a little complicated on what her job is, but basically it's like a very fun, quirky Columbo. Not that he wasn't fun and quirky. She's just a little more out there. But she's always wearing something that's crocheted, and I love that. I have thought about making so many different pieces from the show.
A few YouTubers have actually made some different projects based on the Elsbeth costumes in the show. Like Setta from Setta's Place, she has made a one of the bags. Well, she's made a project inspired by one of the bags in the show, the pink one. I love Miss Setta. If you don't know who Miss Setta is, please go subscribe to her channel. She's amazing. The Secret Yarnery even did a crochet along with Elsbeth's scarf that she wears in the pilot. So you might want to check out the Secret Yarnery too. If you don't know who these channels are, I'm going to link them down below. You need to follow them. They're amazing. And these projects are just too cute.
And it's not just the Elsbeth show where she does that. She started doing that in The Good Wife and in The Good Fight, the spin-off of that. So there was The Good Wife, The Good Fight, and now Elsbeth. Wow. This franchise is doing really well. But she started having the crochet stuff in those series, so this isn't new to her character at all. Most of the things she wears has to do with granny squares, which is super fun and gives me an idea for August. She wears this really fun scarf, and of course Lion Brand and other companies were talking about it, and so I was really excited. I was going, oh, other yarn companies are talking about this. Does this mean we're getting an Elsbeth yarn line? No! It did not mean that. It did not. Why not? She is going on her third season. Yeah, this show already has 2 seasons. They're on Paramount Plus if you want to catch up. Just saying. This show is built for a crochet line. There are so many fun quotes. There are so many fun things that you could make. I mean, you could make kits of the things that they recreate some of the items in the show, like her bucket hat and her bag and her scarf and her vest. Some of her fashion choices are interesting, but they're super fun. And for crocheters, I mean, this is a dream come true. Somebody created those pieces. We could have textured yarn as one of the options because of that fuzzy hat she wears. That could be like an eyelash yarn or something. Call that one Andre's collection or something. I'm gonna make references to the show, and if you don't understand, go watch the show. But those of you who do understand, thank you. There could be a really fluffy, fuzzy yarn called Gonzo. There could be a really fun, bright, multicolored yarn called Elsbeth, because she is all about the bright, fun colors. There could be a really gorgeous, kind of a satiny blue, deep, rich blue called Kaya. Of course, we could have a wonderful striped yarn because the sun is always wearing these striped sweaters. They're called Teddy. Self-striping yarn, that would be really fun. Looking like one of his sweaters. There are so many options. So many options. I don't understand why this doesn't have a yarn line. I don't get it. There are so many crochet things in the show. It makes sense. I don't understand why this doesn't have a yarn line. But do you agree with me? Do you think this show would make a fun yarn line? Because I think it would. I think it would make an awesome yarn line. But you guys let me know what you think down below. The other show that's made for this is Wednesday. If you haven't seen Wednesday, I'm not going to try and give you any spoilers. I'm just going to name some characters and some quotes. There are so many options for this. First of all, they created crochet and knit pieces for this show, specifically. There are even places where you can get some of the recreated patterns.
The costumes for Wednesday were designed by my favorite modern costume designer, Colleen Atwood. She usually works for Tim Burton, and so this was the perfect project for her. She's the same person who brought you the costumes from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Into the Woods. Okay, you may not have liked that movie, but I know you love the costumes. Snow White and the Huntsman, those movies. She made all of those costumes. So I knew that this series was going to have incredible costumes. The yarn line possibilities for the dance alone are enormous. My favorite look from the dance has to be Bianca's look. She's the siren. You can see that her dress is reminiscent of like scales, like a mermaid would have. It's also in that beautiful light aqua color, which is reminiscent of the ocean. It also goes really well with her eyeshadow and her eyes. I just think this actress is beautiful in general, but this costume definitely brings out some of her best features. I love the white furry ensemble that Enid wears. It's sparkly, it's shiny, it's furry, so you've got that fur aspect. There's lots of fur texture in several of Enid's costumes because she is a werewolf. They keep her in pinks and purples and stuff to keep her girly. They also have, her hair is dyed pink and blue. But I love that there's little textures of fur in all her costumes because Colleen Atwood is a genius. And then Wednesday has looks that are slightly reminiscent of the 1990s version of Wednesday, also going back all the way to the 60s version of Wednesday. There's little touches here and there. Her coat is very reminiscent, like the coat she arrives in is very reminiscent of the 1960s Wednesday's dress. So that's a really cute little detail. But going back to the dance, Wednesday's dress, Colleen Atwood actually didn't design. They found in a shop. And she just knew it was perfect, and she didn't do anything to it. She was like, nope, this is perfect the way it is. And she worked to get more crochet and knit pieces. I love that. So Colleen Atwood is just a genius. And no spoilers, but you know what happens during the dance? That would be an amazing hand-dyed yarn line. Just saying, yarn artists, if you want to hand-dye some yarn and do it after Wednesday, I'll buy it. Okay, try to picture this with me. The stained glass window as yarn. So we couldn't really represent too much of Wednesday's side because there's no way to make a clear yarn. But if you have a bunch of color with a, very short variegations, I'm not explaining this well. But basically, if you had a yarn that had a lot of color, like the stained glass window on Enid's side, broken up by a lot of black, just like on the window, there's the black bars and stuff. I think that would make an incredible yarn. Even if we couldn't really represent Wednesday's side, it would be the two girls together. If nothing else, the color broken up by black, that's them. That's them right there. So, I would love a yarn that looks like the stained glass window. In fact, when I was coming up with what would I do for different yarns and stuff, that's the first one I thought of, was the stained glass window.
You could have one that is just black. Just a deep, like the deepest black you can get. Just a dark yarn. And of course, that would be Wednesday. I would really like it if Wednesday's had a sheen. Because of her hair. Her hair's kind of shiny. So I think if that black one had a sheen to it, I think that'd be really pretty. Kind of like what Furls does with their Wander yarn, but a little bit less. A little bit less shiny. Just like a hint of shine. I think that would be beautiful. And then you could have a yarn kind of like this one, but with pink and orange and purple and white, like Enid's sweater, and that one would be Enid. Maybe a little bit of sparkle in that one, because, the uniform colors. You could have either a mixed blue and black, kind of almost like a hand-dyed look to the yarn, or you could have an ombre of the blue to the black that looks like their uniforms. You could have a pink and black yarn together and call it Snood. Because Enid makes pink and black snoods for her and Wednesday, and she crochets them. So you could sell it with the pattern for Enid's snood, which lots of people recreated, I understand that. But I think that would just be an opportunity to sell it as a kit. But the yarn could be combined because it's the two friends. I think that'd be really, really cute.
My favorite Addams character of all time will always be Morticia Addams, going all the way back to the early comics by Charles Addams, but also Carolyn Jones will always be the perfect Morticia in my mind. Catherine Zeta-Jones does a really good job with what she was given. I still think they didn't do Morticia justice. She absolutely needs to be softer, teenagers or not. The whole point of Morticia is that she is soft but strong. You could make a yarn that's maybe velvet. I think a velvet black, maybe even with like a little bit of purple in there, would be really great yarn to represent Morticia. Obviously, I have to slip her in there because she is my favorite character. Even if I don't love how she's portrayed in Wednesday, I still love Morticia regardless.
Maybe even a little bit of like dark brown and light brown together to kind of look like coffee, like the coffee house. And that could be for Tyler? Him. Name. Sorry. But him, he works at the coffee house.
Okay, I just have to mention this because as an Alfred Hitchcock fan, I noticed this immediately. Principal Weems' outfits and her hairstyle and everything are so reminiscent to Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, she literally has her office. She's surrounded by birds, taxidermy birds. That can't be a coincidence. That green coat she wears is so reminiscent of the green coat that Tippi Hedren wears in The Birds. First of all, she looks gorgeous. But I just love how much little Alfred Hitchcock touches he put here and there. At one point, she's in a car with a headscarf, which is a little bit reminiscent of Grace Kelly in one of the Hitchcock films. I'm forgetting which one. I want to say To Catch a Thief. So, I mean, there's just so many little Alfred Hitchcock references, so I love that. Okay, let's talk textures and sparkle and sheen and stuff like that. I think Bianca's yarn should be called Siren's Song, and it should be very reminiscent of her dance dress. It could even be one of those yarns where they actually do have the sequins in the yarn to be representing scales, just like her dress. It definitely has to be that color. I love that color. And then Enid should be a pink fuzzy yarn, and maybe some white in there too. but it should be a furry yarn, or at least have some fur in it, and maybe some sparkle in there too. And I think it should be called Wolf Out. Or it could be pink and blue fur, and it could be called Wolf Out. But I think it definitely has to be called Wolf Out. I'd love a like heathered gray, almost black yarn with even little accents of little gold flecks or something to represent Wednesday's typewriter, because she is a writer, and I do think that's an important part of her character. And so I would love a yarn to be like writer at work or art in the making, something like that. I'm really sorry, but I can't think of anything that represents Xavier. Maybe a gray, like a really light gray yarn to represent him sketching. I don't know. I'm sorry, Xavier. During the Poe games, they are the black cats. So their outfits are kind of shiny leather, but they're also cats. So I think like a shiny / slightly fuzzier, not fur, but fuzzier texture yarn would be really cool to represent the black cats, and you could just call it the black cats. Okay, we gotta talk about Ajax because I love him. He's a sweetheart. He's a Gorgon, so obviously his yarn should have some kind of gray silver tone in it. I would love if there was like a mixed brown and mossy green mixed with the gray and the silver, and maybe a few touches of black. I think that would be the perfect yarn for him. Also, green could be for his snakes, you know. Also, I think it'd be really cute if there was like an Ajax yarn. So like Enid and Ajax, if you don't know, they're a couple. I love them together. I think it'd be really cute if you mixed the green, brown with the blue and pink somehow. I don't know. Somehow if you could mix their colors together, I think that'd be really cute. I do think there's some yarn that have to represent some other characters too, but I don't want to give away any spoilers, so I'm not going to mention those. But if you watch the show, you probably know who I mean.
This place was made for yarn. You could have black and white yarns together, like Wednesday's sweater. There's so many options for this. Why does this not exist?
There are many, many, many possibilities of different characters and different quotes and different settings that would make incredible yarn lines in this show. I just really hope they do that. I'm really excited for season 2 on a, small extra note. I'm really excited for season 2. Joanna Lumley is one of my favorite actresses, and so she's going to be Grandmama, and I'm super excited for that. I know lots of people are excited about Lady Gaga showing up in the cast, but I'm excited for Joanna Lumley.
Last season, we had Christina Ricci join the cast of Wednesday Season 1, and we have another 90s Addams joining Season 2, which is Christopher Lloyd. I was psyched when I read this. I was so excited. Why is no one talking about this? Everyone's talking about Steve Buscemi and Lady Gaga and Joanna Lumley a little bit too, but not Christopher Lloyd? Are you kidding me? I'm just so excited he's in the cast.
Did you know that Downton Abbey had a yarn line? They had 4. They had 2 wool and 2 acrylic. And for some reason, they made the characters, like they were named after 4 characters. It was Mary, Matthew, Sybil, and Branson. Yeah, it wasn't Tom, it was Branson. For some reason, his last name. And it was really cool because the tweed, the Matthew was kind of a tweed, and he wore tweed suits, And Mary, she had this gorgeous acrylic with sparkle in it. I actually have some, but it's kind of hard to reach. Anyway, it's a beautiful sparkle yarn, but she had it in green, blue, and red. Now, red made sense to me because it looked exactly like the dress in the proposal scene. And so it was the perfect idea. And then his was tweed, and it looked like his tweed suits that he wore. Perfect. But Sybil's and Branson's confused me. Now, Branson had a green in his line, and it kind of looked like his chauffeur uniform a little bit. But Sybil was the most missed opportunity ever. In season 1, Sybil wears an outfit that is just one of the most iconic outfits from the show, and it reminds you of Princess Jasmine. It's so gorgeous. Why did the yarn not look like that? I'll show you. The yarn looked nothing like this. Missed opportunity. How gorgeous would a yarn like that have been? All those beautiful teals and blues swirled together, making it a little bit shiny because the fabric's silk. I would have bought that yarn in a heartbeat. That is a Sybil yarn. It's the moment she rebels against her standards. It's the moment that she kind of takes charge of her life. And it's a super iconic outfit for how it looks and what it stands for. That is the yarn you should have made. Instead, the yarn looks a little bit like her outfit that she wore to one of the weddings. Not really an iconic moment for her, but interesting choice.
Just as a side note, I actually think that Lady Mary's green yarn reminds me more of Lavinia, especially when she's in this dress. Although I think an emerald green velvet yarn with a little bit of like a gold thread running through it would be an incredible Lavinia yarn. And on that note, if you would like me to make a video talking about what I think another Downton Abbey yarn line could look like or should look like, then let me know in the comments below. I would love to do that, but would you love to see it?
So there are yarns based on TV that have already existed, and I think they've missed the mark, as you can see. There were crochet and knitted pieces, especially knit, all over that show, especially when you got towards winter and stuff. So many opportunities. On that note, I think Bridgerton would make an amazing yarn line. The sparkle, the variegated, all of those different yarns. If you are a hand dyer, you should create yarn lines with hand-dyed yarns. If the regular companies aren't going to do it, y'all should do it. But could you please put it in some, linen and cotton for those of us who are allergic to wool? Just saying, thanks. These would make amazing yarns. You could create patterns, you could do ombre, you could do sparkle, you could do shine. So many opportunities for that one. The dresses alone are so many opportunities. There's more seasons of Bridgerton, why not? And by the way, I watch Bridgerton on Vidangel because I don't like the sex scenes and I don't like the language. But I like everything else. So if you don't like that stuff too, try Vidangel. Not sponsored, but if you want to know how it works. Vidangel is run through Angel Studios, and basically you can watch things but filter them. You can take out bad language, you can take out sex scenes. How do you think I watch Bridgerton? You can take out anything that's unwanted. They even go so far as to tell you every single statue that doesn't have clothes on. If that bothers you, there you go. So you don't have to see that, but I love Vidangel, and so I can watch rated R stuff with all the language gone, and all the sex scenes gone, and all the really inappropriate, rude jokes and stuff. Guess what? Those movies are just fine without all that. Who knew? That's always an option for you.
I could also do a video about what a yarn line could look like with Bridgerton. Just let me know down below. I would love to do this again. Would you like to see it?
I think these would make amazing yarn lines. I really do. I think we should do it with more TV shows. I think we should do it with movies. If there's crochet and knitting that's prominent in something, I think it is such an opportunity that they should jump on. You could sell kits, you could sell yarn packs, you could sell yarns by themselves, you could name them after super fun things. But what do you think? Let me know down below. Do you think that these would make really good yarn lines? Or do you have other shows you think would make good yarn lines? Should I do this again? Give me more ideas. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Remember, leave that comment. I want to know your thoughts, and you're helping the algorithm. Remember, life happens, yarn helps, and Spoonies can stitch it up too.